So welcome back, guys, to another video on Kids Coding Playground. Today we're working the second part for the Scratch math game. So in the last tutorial, we learned how to make the addition, and we made the addition button. So today, and the quit button. So we're gonna work on the subtraction button, the custom block, and we're also gonna work on multiplication. So I'm just gonna drag and drop the multiplication in here as well. Hold up, I don't have it, so let me get it. Okay, so now I have the multiplication button. I just got it from my other project, so now I have the 3 buttons. So let's start out from the subtraction button, everyone. So everyone, let's go to the subtraction button and let's code on here first. Let's zoom in a little bit. So for addition, we can just copy paste everything, just drag and drop everything into the subtraction. Except we just need to change up one broadcast. That's pretty much it for the subtraction button. So for subtraction button, we're gonna get so we'll separate all this. Instead of start addition, we have to broadcast a new message called start subtraction. So we gotta broadcast start subtraction. So let's go back into our cat. We have to define a new custom block. So let's go to my blocks, and let's make a new custom block and name it subtraction. So subtraction, click OK. So let's define it now. So let's get a forever loop. So in the beginning, we always want to set the guess to 0, and then we want to set the random number 1 and the random number 2 to pick random 1 to 100. And the subtraction is a little bit different from addition. That's why I didn't copy paste it, because you need to find if the random number 1 is greater than random number 2. Because if the random number 2 is smaller than the random number 1 and you're subtracting it, we don't want negative numbers, so we have to do that. So if we have to set the 2 random numbers, pick random 1 to 100. Let's get a repeat until. So we have to repeat until guess is equal to answer the problem. So if the guess of the answer is equal to the actual answer, so repeat until the guess is equal to the answer of the problem. And then after that, we want to get an if-then statement. If we need if-then-else. Sorry, put an if-then-else inside this repeat until loop. So we want to if random number 1 is greater than random number 2. So this is where you detect if random number 1 is greater than random number 2. So if random number 1 is greater than random number 2, then we want to set the answer to problem of random number 1 minus random number 2. So let's set the answer to problem to random number 1 minus random number 2. So get a subtraction symbol, put that in here. Random number 1 subtracted random number 2. So subtract the first number, which is greater than random number 2. It'll be random number 1 minus random number 2. And then we'll ask a question. We need to put 2 joins. Put a join here, and put a join here. So we want to say random number 1 in the first slot, which is any number from 1 to 100. And then we join it with the minus sign, and then we get a random number 2 and put it in here. Else, if random number 1 is not greater than random number 2, then we want to set the then we want to just duplicate this, and instead of doing this, we're going to switch them around. So instead of putting random number 1 minus random number 2, it'll be random number 2 minus random number 1. So it'll do it the other way around, so then it'll always never be negative. And then it'll ask, instead right here, we're going to switch these 2 again. So we're going to join random number 2 minus random number 1. And then we're going to set the guess to the answer. Down here, let's set the guess to answer. And then if, we're going to get another if-then-else. Okay, so let's get an if-then-else and put it right here. So if the guess is equal to the answer to problem, guess is equal to answer to problem, then we're going to have to start the sound guitar strum. I already have it. start sound guitar strum, and then we're gonna say that is correct. So I'm just gonna duplicate this right here and then put it down here. Else we're gonna do this, string pluck, and say that is the wrong answer. So as you can see, subtraction needs a bit more code than addition because you have to find which number is greater than which. So, and then finally we have to do a call the function right here. So we're gonna get a broadcast when I receive start subtraction. Sorry about that. We're gonna run the subtraction. Call this custom block right here. So let's try it out right now. So I'm gonna save it and then play it. Let's try it out. So, okay, so I have the subtraction button, addition button. So let's say if I click on subtraction, boom, now it will not be negative. As you can see, 90 minus 49 is not a negative number. So let's say I get right. So let's say I get it wrong, then it'll do that. But if I get it right, then it'll do this. So there was a little bug right here. So I got the answer correct, which was 41. And it didn't work, so I accidentally didn't answer the problem right here. It should be guess. So you guys have to do guess instead of answer the problem. That was a little mistake by me. So don't do answer the problem, you have to put guess. That's why it did not work. So now let's see if it works now. It should work. So now let's go to subtraction. So I'm just going to click on it. 60 minus 1, that's 59. So as you can see, now it's correct. Back then, when I got the right answer, it still didn't get it right because there's a little bug in it. So so the answer is 22 for here. Let's see if it's right. Okay, that's right. And you gain score, and you get it wrong on purpose, it'll say that is the wrong answer. So now we have the subtraction and addition functioning correctly. Now we can work on our multiplication button. So let's go to our multiplication. Just drag and drop all of this code into the multiplication. We just have to change one broadcast. Just drag and drop all of this. And one more. Let's see if I got it all. Oops, I did not get one of them, I think. Yeah, I did not get the one flag clicked. Yeah, this one. So I'm just gonna drag and drop it over here. And I don't know where this one went, so I'm just gonna give it to here as well. So drag it from the front. I think that's why. So one flag click time. Yeah. Okay. So now we have the code for the multiplication. Instead of broadcasting start subtraction, we're gonna have to broadcast start multiplication. Start multiplication. I think that's how you spell it, but that's just broadcast that. And then let's go back into our cat sprite. And then, so for the multiplication, I'm only going to do it 1 to 12 because this is like for kids multiplication, so I'm not going to make it too hard that you have to use like scratch paper and all that. So let's make a new custom block. Let's call it multiplication. Multiplication. Click OK. So we're going to define multiplication. So let's get a forever loop. You want to set the guess to 0. Guess to 0. And we're going to set the random number 1 and the random number 2, both to only pick random 1 to 12. So it isn't too hard. So pick random 1 to 12 only. You guys can do it any value you want. And then I'm going to set the answer to problem to random number 1 multiplying by random number 2. So multiply this random number by this random number. So random number 1 times random number 2. And okay, so we're going to get a repeat until. We're going to repeat until guess is equal to answer to problem. So wait until the correct answer. Guess is equal to answer to problem. And then once it is, then we want to ask we're gonna ask 2 joins. Let's put 2 joins. Okay, so we're gonna, since you guys can do the star symbol for multiplication, or just use the X symbol. I'm just gonna do the X symbol, so X letter, I mean. So we're gonna join the random number 1, X, or you can do the star symbol, this one. I'm just gonna do the X, random number 2. So it'll multiply these two. Ask what's random number 1 times random number 2. And then we want to set the guess to answer. Set the guess to the answer. Put that in here. And then we gotta get an if-else statement. So if the answer is equal to random number 1 multiplied by random number 2, that means they got it correctly. Random number 1. So if the answer is equal to random number 1 multiplied by random number 2, then we can just duplicate this. This is just to show they're correct. I'll play start sound guitar strum. That is correct, and then change the score by 1. And if they get it wrong, then we just duplicate this. That is the wrong answer. So that is the code for the multiplication. And of course, we have to call the code. So I'm gonna go here. When I receive start multiplication, we want to run this code right here. So now we have the multiplication. Let's try that out. So save it, go full screen. Play it. So let's play a math game, answer the following questions. Press the quit button to stop all questions. Choose one of the operators at random. So I'm gonna pick multiplication. So 1 times 11. So multiplication is working right now. So as you can see, when you answer it correctly, it will say that is correct. Your score will go up. Let's say if I answer it wrong on purpose. Let's see if it works. And it'll say that is the wrong answer. So our game is working perfectly right now. So that is, I think we'll stop here. So today we just worked on the subtraction and multiplication button. Tomorrow, in the next episode, I think we'll work on division and the random. So I think that's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. And I'll see you guys in the next video.